let's for a few minutes talk about where we see this in the next, I don't know, 12, 18 months. And, to riff off what you're saying, I see a place in the very near future, maybe even less than 12 to 18 months, natively embedded in some of our products and, things like Dentrix, things like Ascend. I see a world where, there's a user interface, there's a keyboard, there's a mouse, there's a UI, you can go do stuff. But with voice AI, if you have a microphone, you can just start talking and tell the PMS, tell the AI agent what to do. And that's not just scheduling. That's not just taking payments. That's not just managing the workflow. It's all aspects of the front desk, and even in the clinical setting, in the operatory. I see voice AI agents doing a lot of that work in the very, very near future. I know that that's something that we're heavily investing our R&D dollars on and working very hard on. I know there's other third parties and companies like VideaHealth and others that are investing in that area as well. I think we will absolutely see that commonplace in the next 12 to 18 months. I really do. And if you go, you mentioned your kind of earlier time in your career and your aspiration to be a physician. If you look at medical, this is common there now. Most medical and specialty offices you go into, from a medical perspective, you will see the doctor wearing a microphone. That is very common. The last couple of times I've been, I've actually seen that already. I think we're going to absolutely see that in dental. And there's some great things that'll come out of that. Better quality notes, less confusion. And probably the most important thing, what you're talking about, Florian, is the ability for the caregiver, the actual doctor, to focus on the patient and to give their full and undivided attention on their health outcome and on their dental outcome being better. And that's one thing I see in the next 12 to 18 months. Our CEO, Brian Weatherly, talks about the front desk free of people, or with very, very, very few people. I think he's right. I don't know. What's your take on that? What do you see in the next 12, 18 months here, Florian?
Yeah. So what we did, we looked at going back to all these tedious manual tasks. And you just mentioned voice for notes, for instance, right? Which is 1 or 2 hours of time
every
per
day.
clinician per day. Exactly. So and I think we're all working on great things there. There's just one example. I do believe that in the next 18 months to 36 months that half of the work you are doing right now can be automated. And I think I agree with you. I think it can be notes, it can be claim submission, it can be RCM, it can be VOI, verification of insurance, right? Which is a huge manual process, Alan, right? So I think all of that actually will be automated over time, and I'm super excited for it, right? We never had these tools. And I think that it's a little bit similar to you being a developer and using at this point AI to write your code. I can just encourage everyone who's listening, every dentist, every hygienist, to be open to trying these things out, because it might make the life substantially better, and they never thought about it, right? You never thought about, wait, this could be automated, right? But I think it will be huge, and I'm super excited for that. So yeah, I believe the same thing. We will see it in revenue cycle management. We will see it in patient engagement. We will see it in administrative tasks. We will see it clinically, where we have started our journey, and you see it in administrative tasks, that be scheduling, referrals, front office, across the board.
Yeah, I agree. And interestingly, in the next 4 to 5 years, I see it even accelerating even more, where you will start to see, who knows, and it's hard to predict where we'll be in a year, let alone 2, 3, 4, but in the next 4 to 5 years, and we're starting to see this in medical, but AI augmented or remote patient care, that's not just a consultation on the phone, where I can tell you in medical right now, they can do surgeries from the other side of the world, and they've already got AI agents, looking at doing things like that. That's really futuristic, but I think we're going to see that in dental. I really, really do. I think you're going to start to see, with 3D imaging and incorporating AI into that, incorporating AI into the concept of what happens in labs with the creation of prosthetics and other things, orthodontia. I think you're going to see all kinds of acceleration. At the end of the day, what's going to happen is this: AI won't replace humans, but it will augment what humans do in dentistry. It'll make their lives easier, and it'll make them far more productive. And also, it's going to make the cost of dentistry come down, and which is honestly good for everybody. More dental care for everybody leads to better health outcomes. That's what I see in the next 4 to 5 years. That's really vague because it's super hard to predict what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone in a year, 4 to 5 years. But what do you see here, Florian?
Yeah, I mean, like I agree with everything you say. I think if we think about this, like one of the things why we called our company VideaHealth and not like double bite or something like that is sorry, I mean overbite, but is that I believe like we will almost see like the convergence of medical and dental through AI. And what I mean by that is I think you're right, we will drive the cost point down on AI. And I think currently in the United States, less than 70% of adults are going to the dentist regularly and over 30% are not going to the dentist regularly. So I think there's a huge untapped market, but more importantly, there are millions of people who don't go to the dentist and their overall health suffers. So I think by us reducing the barrier to care will significantly improve the access to care. I'm excited about that. But then secondly, I'm very excited on working on medical dental integration or dental medical integration, what I believe. And that is in big data. And, just to give you a sense, we are processing probably 500 million dental x-rays at this point, and we have longitudinal data. And that's something I was working on before at MIT, is to predict health outcomes. Does that make sense? And so I think what we can do, Alan, is we can actually predict to, if you don't get this treatment, that's going to happen. Or furthermore, you have periodontitis at that stage with that degree and that progression. And based on our data, you have a high risk of diabetes. Please see a primary care physician for a diabetes test. And so my hope is that we can use dentistry, which is currently 4 cents on the dollar in the United States, to expand that, but to reduce the 96 cents on a dollar on healthcare, because we can identify hypertension, diabetes, and other diseases earlier rather than later, which is currently the state, right? And that's really my hope. And I think we will get there.
I think we're for sure going to get there. In fact, we're seeing some of the very early stages of that right now. I'm aware, actually, just yesterday, we visited with a university that's actually working on something like that with a much smaller data sample size than what you talked about. But the tie between oral health and systemic health outcomes is indisputable. Our parent company's chairman and CEO, Stan Bergman, has talked about this for many years. He is not incorrect, just as you're not incorrect. I absolutely think that we're going to see that. And I think we're going to see kind of the fusion of not just the predictive capability, but the concept of distinctive dentistry being distinctive in overall healthcare. We're going to see those two things become one, I think. And, AI will be a catalyst for how that happens. I totally see that. And I'm glad you brought that up. That is an extremely helpful point. And so this is a case where artificial intelligence will actually lead to much better health outcomes for humankind. I really believe that.
That's right. Absolutely. A bright future ahead, Alan.
That's right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Florian Hillen and Alan Rencher. It's our great honor to visit with Florian today and his company. And we're excited and have been excited with our partnership for them. And we're really excited about the future of AI together. Thank you, Florian, for taking time to be with us today. Thank you again.
That's awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, cut. We're all done. Hey, Florian, great to see you, man. I got to run.